Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Random Thoughts, where we'll be answering some questions that at first when you hear don't really need to be that in depth, but then when you actually get into it, you'll find out that it might be more in depth than you think. Today we're talking about, are hot dogs and hamburgers technically sandwiches? Let me explain. So, you know, we all had sandwiches in our lives before. Obviously, you've had sandwiches with meat. I know mostly people have sandwiches with turkey, lettuce, tomato, cheese, sometimes maybe a squirt of mustard, maybe a sprinkle of pepper, the works. I personally like my sandwiches with turkey and cheese with some mayonnaise. But think about it. Think about think about burgers, for example. Burgers and sandwiches are technically the same thing. You know, obviously, there's the two pieces of bread that sandwich it all together, and then there's the meat, which is the burger patty, and of course, just like a sandwich, you can have lettuce or tomato on it, or mayonnaise or ketchup or any kind of, or any condiments, heck, even relish, and you can even have pickles on it or cheese. And now we move on to hot dogs. Hot dogs are pretty much the same thing. You know, there's meat in the middle, condiments, pickles, sometimes jalapenos. So does that technically mean it's a sandwich? Doesn't mean it's a sandwich. Think about it. Think about it. All our lives, we could have just been saying the sandwich group. You know how there's like the food groups and stuff like that? We could have been saying the sandwich group. We could have just said, obviously, sandwiches will be on top of that category, and hot dogs and hamburgers, you know? And it wouldn't be obscure because there's such thing as hot sandwiches, you know? And I don't mean smoked, like smoked meat and the sandwich is still cold. No, I mean hot sandwiches, like temperature wise. So, my random thought is, do hamburgers and hot dogs technically count as sandwiches? Because I, for one, think that they do. I think they do. Because because like it only makes sense. Sandwiches, you know, obviously they all have a lot of things in common, like two slices of bread between each other. Obviously, a hot dog is a bit different, but it's still a whole piece of bread that has food in the middle. That has food in the middle. And of course, each food we just talked about has meat. Obviously, for the sandwiches, turkey or cheese. Well, cheese is technically, it kind of is a meat, but kind of not because it's in the dairy section. And then we have hamburgers, the burger patty as the meat. And for hot dogs, obviously, the hot dog wiener. And of course, condiments. You could put condiments on it. You could put lettuce and tomato and pickles. So I, for one, think that sauce hot dogs and hamburgers should be counted as a sandwich. But that's just my personal opinion. Some people like to go back and forth on it. But I, for one, think that if we're being realistic here, sandwiches, the hot dogs and hamburgers should be counted as sandwiches, because everything I listed off is pretty much what a sandwich has. So I can't see the reason why we can't count it as a sandwich, because it has to be one. It has to be. But hey, that's just my little own random thought. You know, it's just a thought, I had at the top of my mind, and hopefully If you guys don't think it's a sandwich, then that's fine. But I, for one, don't see why we can't count it as a sandwich. But that's just my personal opinion. Yeah. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Random Thoughts. And tune into our next episode. I'm sorry, not episode, my goodness. Tune into our next, yeah, I said that right. Our next episode of the series, as we will be discussing, should worker bees be counted as princesses if they're born to a queen bee? See y'all next time. Bye bye.